Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. Today I'm going to talk about hooking up the oil transmission cooler for the 32 Ford pickup. I originally thought that I was going to be able to hook it up directly to the bottom of the cooler and the radiator, much like over here on the 29 Model A. If you look here, what we did earlier on, we ran some copper lines into the bottom of the radiator here. There's room to do it. We ran the copper lines back with some rubber lines attached. It served us well. There's nothing wrong with it. However, over on the 32 Ford pickup, there is not as much real estate in there. I still have the blue caps on the end of them. What I had originally thought was I had enough room to put these little 45-degree angles there and then come out the bottom of it and then use an AN type fitting like this, much like we've done on the fuel line. That didn't turn out to be the case. I bought the fittings, tried to fit it in, and there's just not enough room there to make it work. So what I decided to do was actually buy a separate transmission oil cooler for it. And they don't need a whole lot of airflow. They just need to be underneath the vehicle as the vehicle is going down the road to cool them off. Use the inside of the radiator here. There's just one coil across the bottom. Over on the back of the 32 pickup, I'll show you where it is. And I'm also going to describe how to cut the AN lines and put the fittings on. It's a rather simple process, but it's easy to make a mess of it. So I'm just going to step you through it. Hopefully the camera lady can show us. Do my best here because there's not a lot of real estate. So as you can see, I put the oil cooler in and I have my first line hooked up going to the transmission. And then I have the second line ready to go here. So it's kind of dummied in. So what I'm going to do, my plan is to buy some clips here to hold these together. So I want this line to come over to about there. So this is where I want it. So I'm going to run some masking tape around it. And I'll tell you why. Oops. In a couple seconds. When you cut the braided line, if you cut it without masking tape or some other form of tape on it, some people use black electrical tape. I like the masking tape, and when I peel it off here in a few minutes when I cut this, I'll show you why. So, it's going to be right about there is dead center for the fitting. I'm going to have to cut it back further, but I want to know where the dead center mark is. I'm going to attach it. Hopefully we get a good view of what's going on there. And now we're going to go over to the other garage. I'm going to cut the line. So here we are back in the other garage where I'm going to cut it off. I've made the mark on the line where the center of the fitting is. So essentially the fitting would go there. And then this comes off. And many of you guys might already all know this, but maybe some don't. Just going to go through it. So there's the center of it. I need to make my cut right about there. So I actually need a little bit more masking tape here. Just going to mark it again. Sorry about that. Didn't have enough masking tape over the area where I'm going to cut. The masking tape is there to keep the braided line from fraying. So I'm just going to put it in the vise here with a light grip. Like that. So I cut it nice and clean. Where you might be losing power here, but I use a mini grinder. You can use, there's special cutters you can use a hacksaw. Mini grinder is nice and clean, the little thin cut. Now, what the masking tape does, it prevents it from fraying. So if I pull this away, it's also not that sticky. I pull it away this direction. There, see, it didn't fray out. If you use electrical tape, it's more sticky and it'll fluff out on you. So that's the first step, nice clean cut. The next step, this is the AN line here. So I unscrewed it, I took it apart. Now I just have to just wiggle that in there. And you want to push it in, just wiggle it in until it meets up with the bottom of the threads. I'm not sure if you can see that, but basically you push it in as far as it can go. Next step, this piece here, just put a couple drops of oil on it. I've seen people use soap. You just want some oil onto it so that when it goes in there, it has less resistance when it goes inside of the rubber hose. Now, you can buy special aluminum wrenches that keep from marring the fittings. What I've got, what I do, or I have been doing, I just use a little more masking tape again when it cooperates. I'll wrap the masking tape around this side. And this is just to keep from marring it. And I'll use my adjustable wrench here, which doesn't have a very, it's kind of rough. And then I've got a 3/4 inch wrench here. It's really smooth on the inside. So just so the aluminum ones are a little better. They're less likely to mar it. But if you take your time and you use a wrench that's nice and smooth and no burrs on the inside, you won't mark the aluminum fittings up. Just take your time and work it in until it comes up tight. You can put it in if you've got wooden, you can, I've seen some guys put like wooden pieces on the inside of their vise, and then what they'll do is they'll stick that inside the vise. If you do it a lot, it's a good idea, but you can do this without of course the masking tape is going to I'll clean that up. Well, that's it. That's the AN-6 line. I'm just going to go take that back over and stick it on the 32 pickup. We'll tighten her in place, but that's essentially what we did for the fuel lines as well, both ends of the fuel lines, and we've done it for the oil transmission oil cooler. So that's our little take on how to put AN-6 lines on, put the fittings together, that is, on the lines, and how not to fray the ends. Our 2 cents. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it helped you out. It's not hard to do. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Everybody take care. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Putting her in place now. It's gonna go up like that, and then I'm just gonna get gonna go online and find 2 like line couplers here to hold it in place, but just gonna tighten it in place. That's it. Whole core line's in place. We now have a transmission.